Political parties in the country are crossing the T's and dotting the I's in a bid to put their best foot forward at all levels and the legislative arm of government for the general elections come 2023. The electioneering process, in line with the Independent National Electoral Commission's guideline, is almost at the stage where selected representatives are expected to sell their parties. Ideologies in the campaigns expected to commence soonest. How then can the campaigns be issue-based? Then the recurring decimal campaign or clumsy and character assassination. Today on Panorama from NTA Port Harcourt Network Center, we will attempt to find answers to these poses and also highlight the constitutional statutory functions or responsibility of elected officers. I am Doris Akomoye. Thanks for joining us. You can follow this news live on all our social media handle shown on the screen. President Buhari has made a strong case for African leaders to muster the political will that will fuel synergy, enhance intelligence gathering, and bring more urgency in tackling violent crimes, saying if high-time terrorism and violent extremism are brought to an end in Africa. The president also called for a coordinated continental response that condemned all forms of unconstitutional changes of government. That was at the 16th extraordinary session of African leaders in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
It's the second day of the extraordinary session of the African Union. African leaders continue to rub minds with a view to taking far-reaching decisions on challenges bedeviling the continent. This time, the focus is on terrorism, violent extremism, as well as the unconstitutional changes of government.
These changes, which are considered and qualified as a rampant coup d'etat, in fact, can lead to revolts and, in fact, in some cases, they are supported by the people.
This constitutes a real threat for the peace and security in the African continent.
Supporting African countries to prevent and counter the threats posed by terrorist groups must be a global priority for us all.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who spoke in a closed session at plenary, expressed worry that resources meant for development of countries are channeled into fighting violent crimes, leaving governments with less options on investing in people to meet the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals. In West Africa, for instance, he however said the leaders are working very hard through the instrumentality of ECOWAS to combat terrorism and insurgency, saying already the criminal gangs have been degraded and their capacity to inflict harm on citizens substantially reduced. To achieve the desired results, the president stressed the urgent need for such efforts to be strengthened and complemented by the African Union. He therefore endorsed the coming into effect of an African standby force to, amongst others, ensure immediate response when a member state is under terrorist threat. On the resurgence of coup d'etat on the continent, President Buhari called for deep introspection on their part as leaders, saying they have a duty to not only provide good governance, address cases of extreme poverty, and engender peaceful, free and fair elections in their countries, but also shun all calls for tenure elongation beyond constitutional provisions. African leaders, he insists, must rise to the occasion, reject such unconstitutional changes of government, as well as support the imposition of far-reaching sanctions regime from all member states whenever and wherever military incursions rear their ugly heads. President Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has since returned to Abuja. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Special Presidential National Convention of the People's Democratic Party ended in Abuja, declaring former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the party's candidate for the 2023 election. Timothy Yusuf reports that he polled 371 votes to defeat his closest opponent, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, who scored 237 votes.
The Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, the melting point of PDP's search for a presidential candidate for the 2023 general elections. It was a long Saturday and also a long night, crossing over Sunday. 774 delegates filing out alphabetically according to their states. They are done with an assignment as directed by their conscience. After a meticulous process under the watchful eyes of the David Mark-led committee, the eventual winner of the 2022 Presidential National Convention of the PDP ahead of the 2023 general elections emerged. The clock ticks in Atiku's favor. It's a victory for all, says Atiku, with no victor, no vanquished.
And I therefore pledge that I will work to ensure I restore unity and I give a sense of belonging to all Nigerians, irrespective of their places of origin and irrespective of the faith they practice.
The outcomes of the election show that Nigerians want us back to power.
For the PDP, the journey to relaunching itself to the central government has just begun. But before achieving that, one major river to cross. Atiku to face 17 other presidential candidates. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In line with the electoral guidelines, the Harcourt party in Rivers State has conducted its senatorial and House of Representatives primary elections in Rivers State, with all the aspirants returned unopposed. Robinson Director has details.
All delegates from across the 23 local council areas of Rivers State converged on the Lekaya Town Hall in Port Harcourt to elect the three candidates that will represent the party's senatorial slots and the 13th Federal House of Representatives candidates. Omoba Prince Rain emerged the River West senatorial candidate, Lily Nune emerged River Southeast senatorial candidate, and Solomon Ikeguru the Rivers East senatorial candidates. All the candidates for the House of Representatives emerged unopposed. Things were peaceful and orderly because we left it to be done decently and in order. That's what we just experienced here. I feel very happy that I was found ready to be today to represent the Rivers West senatorial district, and I hope that this will be the springboard for the next election. See, will spring surprises. A lot of people will ask themselves, wow, is this the Harcourt thing? We thought won't be anything. The State House of Assembly and gubernatorial primaries are slated for 31st May at the same venue in Port Harcourt. Robinson Delatebe, NTA News.
Political parties and their candidates have been advised to embark on issue-based campaigns that will address the pressing challenges of the country. The advice became necessary as political parties prepare for full-fledged campaigns ahead of the general elections. Robinson Director has details.
Campaigns of calumny and character assassination of political opponents are prominent features of political campaigns in Nigeria. As the nation prepares for another general elections, concerns are high over the modus operandi of politicians as they brace up for another round of political campaigns. Unity and security of the country, many say, should dominate discourse and campaigns. Society watchers believe that the 150 days window for campaigns is short, and candidates should use it to advance solutions to the lingering challenges of insecurity, corruption, poor economy, and unemployment in the country. Let them campaign based on their manifesto, telling us what they have to offer to the country. Let them not go on with hunting each other. Let them tell what they want to do to create industries, that will employ Rivers people. Let them tell what they will do in the educational sector, in every sector that will help in the development of these things. Whatever we do this time around will be it should be strictly issue-based. You will tell the people, sell yourself to the people, tell them what you want, and let them reason with you, So that's my advice for my party. They urged the electorates to shun electoral engagement, vote selling while casting their ballots for only credible candidates with proven antecedents.
Even the voters this time should be able to know this man is okay. No matter the amount of money is given to you, don't take his money.
Political parties are already winding up their primary elections in preparations for the general elections. In Port Harcourt, Robinson Doratebe, NTA News.
I've been joined in the studio by Evelyn Membere Asemia, Deputy Country Vice President of FIDA, Nigeria, and the National Vice President of the Christian Lawyers Fellowship of Nigeria. Madam, thanks for joining us in our studios today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Now, studies have shown that in recent times, election campaigns have been with comments and tends to attack personalities. What's your take on that?
Well, it's so sad that even at the point of time in our life in Nigeria, we could find that our leaders, politicians, are still going into campaign of calumny. We've seen that it has never helped anyone to find, to draw the ladder down, and then you think that when the ladder is down, you cannot climb up and be on top. But that's so sad. It has not helped anyone. It should be discouraged at every level, whether at the local government level, at the state level, at the federal level. You shouldn't attack the personality of another person to try to make yourself better. It's not a good way of approaching things, and so I discourage it, and I will frown at it at every time I have an opportunity to. It's not good at all.
So how does this affect the electioneering process and the electorates?
We've seen how it has taken us so many years back the line, and we've not progressed in our politics in Nigeria. It's all been, most of the things we see our politicians do are born out of anger, malice, rivalry. We are not seeing issues, we are not seeing progress in our governance. Till today in Nigeria, many years after independence, after democracy, we are still having the conversation of bad leadership. And I think this is because our leaders are not addressing the issues of good governance. They are not addressing the problem of Nigeria. They are being very personal in their dealings and in running the politics that we find them running. I think that's why we are where we are, and it's indeed affecting us.
Does that take to the part that we need a reorientation in our political system?
Yes, my sister. I believe we do. We do. Our leaders need to go through a reorientation at every level, from the party structure, from the way they hold their meetings, their decisions. We've seen the battle to get our election follow the law as it ought to be. Our electoral law has been because of personal desires, personal wishes, and I think that is why we need that reorientation. We need our leaders. We need a new set of a new mindset. I should just put it a new mindset, because when we say a new set of people, you'll find out that at the end of the day, it is still the same persons moving from here to there. So it's a new mindset that we wish that would have in our today Nigeria.
Okay, now that we have opportunity to get it right, what should be the responsibility of our leaders across board?
It's sad for me to say that we seem to be almost late in taking that decision, because if we don't get it right at the primary level, when the political parties are holding their primaries, then I wonder if it can get it right when we are in 2023, when we are having the main elections, because we are faced with the choices that have been given to us by the various political parties. But no hope lost. There's always hope. We are told that anyone that is hopeful is alive. So if we have three persons presented to us, let's look at their antecedent. Let's look at what they've offered in time past. Let's look at what they are saying to us right now, and let's look at their body language beyond the words, because these words have been flattering, they've been luring us into the wrong direction. So if we can be able to read beyond those flattering words, those, sorry to say, lies that we've been told by the politicians, then we will be able to make it right. Because I think that every Nigerian has a part to play come 2023 to ensure that we have a better Nigeria, new leadership in our country.
Okay, if you say that every Nigerian has a part to play in the electioneering process, do you think we have done much in terms of including the females in the political scene?
Sadly, no, we haven't. Somebody just sent me a text message during the while we were watching the convention of the PDP that just landed up early this morning, and we saw a female candidate up there. And my question was, how prepared was she? Why do we always find ourselves, having a repetition of the same mistake over and over again? I blame the political parties. They didn't have the groundwork. By the time they were coming up with the incentives and the cutting down the cost of forms for the females, already the groundwork had been done for the males. It was already, for me, too late for the females to be able to take up the challenge to take the political space. But then as females, that you are a politician, you've been in the business of politics for this long, and you know that this time will come. What have you done? Do you have supporters? Do you have grassroots presence that you just come up and tell us you want to be the president of Nigeria, you want to be the governor of the state? Sorry, you can't get that way. But let us ask our political parties to please, right from their political structure, do the right thing for the female folks, for the female members they have, because it's actually not comfortable for them. When you hold meetings late in the night, you expect a woman to leave her home, you expect a woman to leave her children. If she manages to do that, you would now say, oh, she's a bad woman. It's so sad.
Okay, finally, let's round up with the issue that has to do with what should our followers be doing at this time.
We want to encourage every Nigerian out there. Yes, they have chosen and brought out their flag bearers, but we know that there are good ones among them. So let's not be directed by party affiliations. Let's not be guided by by tribal sentiments. Let's not be guided by religious sentiments. Let us just take the right decision and ensure that we have the right leaders out there for our country come 2023.
I was speaking with Madam Evelyn Membere Asimia. She is the Deputy Country Vice President of FIDA. Madam, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The attention of the Cross River State government has been drawn to a video circulating in cyberspace purporting to be parallel All Progressive Congress senatorial primaries for Northern Cross River, where Professor Ben Ayade was listed as a participant. For the avoidance of doubt, state government says Governor Ayade did not take part in the senatorial primaries. Governor Ayade, in a statement by his special advisor on media, Christian Ita, indicates that the Governor Ayade is a presidential aspirant who will be taking part in the APC presidential convention, now slated for June 6th. The statement adds that the so-called parallel primary election, as contained in the said video, was at the best a poorly scripted skit of comedy shot by three persons sitting in a room. The Cross River State government assured teaming APC members and supporters, particularly in Northern Cross River, that Governor Ayade says he did not take part in any senatorial primaries. There was no parallel senatorial primaries in the district. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. This building effort deserves a holistic approach from all segments of the society, and it can only be possible through gender mainstreaming and youth participation in the design and implementation strategy for a peaceful Africa. This forms part of the address of the President of the African First Ladies Peace Mission and the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, at the 16th Extraordinary Session of the African Union Head of State Summit in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. State House correspondent Aliu Kabiru reports.
The focus of this extraordinary session on Africans' humanitarian challenges, terrorism, and the emergence pattern of non-constitutional change of government in some parts of Africa could not have come at a better time than now.
This is the president of the Africa First Ladies Peace Mission and the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, addressing African leaders at the opening plenary of the extraordinary session of the African Union currently taking place in Equatorial Guinea. Speaking on behalf of the African First Ladies, the President acknowledged the support and commitment of the AU towards peace building in Africa, through which their platform is actively complementing all efforts towards addressing various issues, including gender mainstreaming, as well as peace, harmony, and development in Africa. The President of the Africa First Ladies Peace Mission has equally informed the head of state of the mission's achievement since her inception as the President of the mission in November 2021.
We have secured a piece of land in Abuja, Nigeria, and have commenced the construction of a permanent and befitting secretariat for the mission. It will be completed and commissioned in January 2023 by the grace of God.
The President has also intimated the African leaders on the need for support and commitment of their spouses towards enhancing education, health, women empowerment, as well as all efforts to promote conflict resolution within the continent in line with the Achievement Agenda 2063, AU Charter, and the UN Security Council Resolution 1325.
Embark on programs that focus on peace building, education, health, and women empowerment. Collaboration with African parliaments and legislative institutions in support of broader engagements and gender mainstreaming in peace campaign activities and other efforts at conflict resolution.
Apart from the desire for the emergence of peace clubs in secondary schools, the President also reaffirmed the mission's commitment towards the development and inclusion of peace and security studies as part of the curriculum of basic secondary education across the African continent. These, according to the President, are efforts towards promoting peace and development in Africa, urging all stakeholders to come on board. In Equatorial Guinea, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari says he is extremely saddened by the reported deaths of scores of worshippers during a stampede at a religious event in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. In a reaction to the incident, the president admonished organizers of religious, political and other big events to plan well and carry them out in a disciplined manner to avert similar calamitous deaths and injuries. The president directed that all efforts should be made to provide relief to those injured in the unfortunate incident, that disaster and relief agencies of the federal government should maintain constant contact with the Rivers State government to ensure that good care is taken of the relief efforts. President Buhari expressed his condolences and that of the nation to the bereaved families and to the government and people of Rivers State, and prayed to the Almighty to repose the souls of the deceased. Similarly, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike expressed grief over the loss of lives in the unfortunate stampede incident that occurred on Saturday at Polo Club, Port Harcourt. Governor Wike expressed profound condolences to the bereaved families and God to grant them the fortitude to bear the loss of their loved ones. The governor promised to constitute a probe panel to investigate the incident and details on what transpired. Up next is sports. It's Panorama from Port Harcourt Center today. Always stand with NTA against rape and rapists.